Having played Arena Breakout Infinite for a long time, you get used to the environment, the layout, the visuals, and most importantly, the audio cues. Those sounds are how you survive in the dark zone. They train you to read the danger, to react, and they train you to become a better operative in Kamona. But every now and then, something feels kinda off. There are random gunshots that are very long. It's like you're hearing a dragged out fight against scabs, and that doesn't really make sense. And you, being the curious one, you push in to investigate. You find players running and gunning, fighting against the scavs. You take them down with the headshot and only to realize, what? They're wearing basic gear with low tier weapons that most players won't really use. And if you look at them carefully, these aren't really real operators. These were AI players who were fighting their fellow AI militants. And as small as that moment may seem, it paints a much bigger picture in the background. We get the questions like, why are they here? Why do they exist? Why are they in your raids? Let's talk about it. Whenever I do my recordings, I tend to team up with GigaChads in NA or EU servers and tank over 200 ping just to be able to play properly. But recently, I found GearUp, a safe-to-use app that reduces my ping around 20 to 40 ms locally and around 30 to 50 ms for cross-region play. Added with their anti-pocket loss feature, my gameplay felt more smooth and consistent no matter the host. Do not worry though, this app is completely legal and a lot of well-known creators and gaming brands already use GearUp. It also has an ongoing collaboration with Arena Breakout Infinite and is one of the highest rated tools on Trustpilot. To use it, simply just open the app, select Arena Breakout Infinite, click Boost, launch the game, and you're good to go. If you're on weaker hardware or sometimes deal with unstable internet, this can really help smooth things out. They're offering free trials for more premium features, and you can use code LZY to try it out for yourself. Arena Breakout Infinite's full release put the game on multiple platforms. It has its native launcher, it has Epic Games, and most importantly, it's on Steam. On the Steam platform alone, it puts the game in front of millions of potential players. In theory, that should have been more than enough to boost its population. But strange enough, that's not what's happening. I don't mean to stat dump here, but as of recording, Steam charts have shown around 14,000 average concurrent players, and even after accounting for the Epic Games and the native launcher population, we're looking at roughly 18,000 to 20,000 players in total. That's not a dead game, let me be clear about that. But for an extraction shooter with strict matchmaking rules, region specifications, and raid requirements, it's not a healthy one either. Every matchmaking rule, every region you're playing from, every game mode you're selecting, with every matchmaking queue, it splits that number even further. For the stage that ABI built itself with these platforms, it needs more. So let's loop back to the question, why do these AI operators exist? Well, they're filler. When matchmaking doesn't have enough real teams to populate a raid, it fills in the missing slots with AI-controlled operators. And yes, I understand, on the surface, that doesn't sound like a big deal. But the moment a game needs AI players just to function normally, to me that's a red flag. But it's a small one. But that small flag can catch fire and grow into a bigger problem if it's ignored. I've seen this before. I grew as a content creator playing my very first extraction game called Lost Light. Although given it's not the most grounded, most realistic, or even considered one of the best extraction games out there, but it did have its golden era. It had its fair share of excitement season after season until questionable decisions and ignored community feedback pushed it into its decline. Towards the end of my time there with Lost Light, lobbies have been filled with AI players, and running into real players became a rare commodity. And when I did run into someone, it was often the same names, the same clan tags, the same operator skins over and over again. So the experience became predictable, it became so repetitive. And on top of that, since cheating has been so rampant, you get to run into more cheaters more often as well. And those cheaters had little to no consequences while playing the game. So from there, I saw the cracks on the ship, I saw the holes, but yet nobody wanted to acknowledge or even try to fix them. That's when I made a decision. I made a decision to jump ship before it completely sank. And that experience leaves a mark. When you see similar signs again and again, somehow the fear or the trauma comes back in. These AI player teams aren't really a problem right now, but if you're seeing them in 2 or 3 or 4 or most of your raids, that's like the game is telling you something. And for me, it's saying the player pool isn't healthy enough. Given it's a healthy number, but it needs more. And right now, it's being masked today with its AI players, maybe tomorrow with repetitive encounters, and maybe into the future, you run into the same batch of players with the same names over and over again. That's how it starts, and the real source of the frustration comes down to the game's development priorities. And I know how this video might come across with most of you. Some people would label me as a streamer who always complains, who always cries about the issues in the games that I cover. I did it with Lost Light, and I'm doing it now with Arena Breakout Infinite. But for me, this was never just about the content. It's about taking everybody else's voices and using my platform as a megaphone, so that maybe one day those amplified voices may reach more people, bigger creators, and eventually the publishers and developers themselves. This isn't me raining down hate by pointing out holes in the system. It's me showing those flaws the best way that I could. And you can't really call it crazy talk when I'm not the only one saying it. The videos I make, they come from somewhere. They're not just from random writing that I do. They come from the voices of the players who want this game to be better. And like everybody else, I want Arena Breakout Infinite to be better. I want it to be more successful. Because right now, with the lack of priority on core gameplay mechanics, it feels like the developers are building around a ceiling that's currently limiting ABI's true potential. And I do understand developers should not bow down to every whim, every request, every demand from streamers or players, as we have seen what has happened with a lot of games that have lost their identity by trying to please everybody in their community. More Fun Studios doesn't need to give us everything we ask for. All we ask is that they lend an ear, take a look, and possibly consider which of these changes we want will truly matter. Not for the next bundle, not for the next gacha draw, but for the long-term health of Arena Breakout Infinite. Because in all honesty, I don't want Arena Breakout Infinite to become another sinking ship. I want it to last. I want it to stay strong, and I want it to stand as one of the best extraction shooters out there. Because if everything aligns and the right priorities are set, more and more players will be welcomed in to enjoy an extraction shooter experience in Camona. Those were my thoughts, and I'd like to know yours. Please, I do encourage you to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you want to watch or listen to more commentary videos on this channel, please consider subscribing. Thank you again for giving your time for this video. I do hope to see you in the next one.